Hi, everyone, and happy Sunday. Welcome to week 18, January 15th to the 19th of our Business Leadership e-learning course. We have 2 more weeks together. This week is a big week in this class in that we are culminating our final performance task worth 15% of our grade. We have a hard deadline for that on Friday at 11:59 p.m. This will be a short instructional video as I review and refresh the deadlines for that, as well as to talk about the final examination, which will be next week in our class. Okay, so without further ado, first thing we always want to remember is to complete our attendance activity for the week. That is just to ensure that you are marked as present for the week. And then, like I said, the week is really all about finishing this final performance task. In our instructional video last week on Wednesday, I posted a really long lesson about what my expectations were taking you through the performance task. So I'm not going to talk about that again because by now you should be well into the performance task, about halfway through. Okay, and I did link the instructional video here for you again for reference, as well as the performance task here for reference. But this is officially day 4 of the performance task. So you have now had about 5 hours of in-class time to work on this. So my expectation is that you are at least a third of the way through the performance task, and I'll be checking into each of your performance tasks at the top of this week just to see where you're at and to make sure that you are actually doing the work using triangulation of assessment, making sure that you're completing the tasks, not at the final hour. Okay, so your performance task is due by 11:59 p.m. on Friday, January 19th. This is a hard deadline, meaning that Dropbox will close and I will not accept your performance task after this time. You need to submit the link in Dropbox for your performance task, which you've already shared with me. And make sure that you have given me editing privileges so I can go right into the document and give feedback as needed. Okay. So that is really all you're working on this week, but many of you will be done the performance task early and you'll get started thinking about your final exam. So I've included the final exam review sheet here in our weekly agenda. Just if you want to kind of start wrapping your head around your exam, a lot of students prefer to do that and sort of get a jump start on prepping for their exams this week because most students will have 3 or 4 examinations scheduled for next week. With that in mind, for the e-learning examination, you actually do have a little bit of flexibility, which is nice. And so I'm going to just spend a little bit of time in this instructional video talking about the exam, but on the instructional video that I'll post next week, so next Sunday, I'll go through the examination in more detail because the focus of this week really should be on the performance task. However, you have the exam review sheet, which will help you if you would like to get a jump start. So just so you know, your examination is also worth 15%. It is done in Brightspace. It's under quizzes. You'll see it actually there already. However, it won't go live until next Wednesday at 8 a.m. So you have to complete your examination between this particular time block. So at any time next week between Wednesday, January 24th at 8 a.m. and Sunday, January 28th at 5 p.m., you can write your examination for e-learning. Once you start the exam, you have to complete it in that 2-hour time block. You can't start the exam and then go back to it. Okay, so you have to do it within that period of time. So you want to pick a time that works best for you in and around your in-person examinations. So if you have exams next week on, Thursday and Friday, you might want to write this exam on Wednesday, or maybe you might write it Friday night, or maybe you'll write it Saturday afternoon, right? So you want to you have flexibility, but it has to be done within that period of time. Last year, I had a student email me on the Monday and was like, I didn't write my exam and it's closed now. Why can't I write it? And I was like, somehow you missed the fact that you had 5 whole days to just decide whenever you wanted to write the exam. And you just missed that opportunity. And now you're asking me to open the exam again. Well, that's not going to happen. So you have 5 days, lots of flexibility. Write the exam at some point during those 5 days and don't come asking me to open it up on Monday. Okay. All right. So that is that. If you have an IEP and you think you will need a little extra time, please send me an email. This exam has actually been designed to be written in an hour, and you have 2 full hours. So really, you shouldn't need extra time. But if there are any concerns, IEP concerns, then just send me an email and I will set that up in the system before your actual exam. But don't leave it to the day of the exam or like when you're in the middle of writing it. I have had a student do that before and they're like emailing me while they're in the middle of the exam, which they shouldn't be doing. And also I'm not always on my computers, especially if it's like Friday at 9:00 at night, right? So that's another thing you have to think about in advance. Okay, so in my instructional video next Sunday, I will take you through the exam, but it is a case study. So you're going to be given a business scenario. And then you're going to have a series of questions to answer based on that scenario as to what you would do if you were the manager of this particular business. All of the answers do have to tie back to the curriculum of the course. And I did include the major key concepts from our class that I want you to review. Like I said, I will go through this in more detail in the instructional video next week, but the focus of this week really should be on your performance task and giving that your all and making sure that that's in by the Friday deadline. And this is just here for you if you want to get a jump start on prepping for the exam. Okay. So with that in mind, this is your exam review. I will be doing a more detailed and comprehensive sort of walkthrough of the exam in our last instructional video, which will be posted next Sunday at 8 p.m., just like always. And then you can think about your final exam next week, okay? And I've included that again here in our weekly breakdown for our week 19, okay? So again, for this week, your focus is on making sure you complete your attendance activity and that you complete your final performance task by 11:59 p.m., making sure that link has been copied in and that I have those editing privileges, which I should have by now. And then that's it. You can get a jump start on preparing for your exam. If you have any questions, you know where to find me. Send me an email. Otherwise, I hope you have a great week and I will see you online.